When I watch you live and on stage, it's almost like a revival kind of thing. And though I'm not a religious person by any means, I'm very spiritual, and I've always looked at live music as going to church, for me at least. And is that stage presence of yours of such intensity and emotion and positive preaching? Is that subconscious or conscious?
I think it's subconscious. The only conscious effort I try to make is I just try to get there on time and walk on that stage and make sure I don't make a fool out of myself. And the best way for me to not make a fool out of myself is don't try to handle it too much, man. It's like butter. The whole thing's like butterfly wings. The more you handle it, the more the butterfly can't fly anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, just let it be what it is, and look around and realize why we're all really here. People have a myriad of reasons why they think they're there, including me. And I can count them off on a list. But at the end of the day, some part of me knows, man, we're all here to share an honest moment.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I haven't been able to plumb depths beyond that yet. So, and I don't know if there are a share an honest moment. And I've said it a million times that I used to think, we come to a show to escape reality for an hour and a half. And the truth of the matter is I've come to realize, to me, we come to a show, anybody's show, not just the shows that I'm part of, anybody's show, to get to reality, especially if people do something on stage musically that has something to do with the audience. And what I mean by that is, it's like the audience is part of it instead of just people there while you shout at them and yell at them. So
well, it's a connection. Live music is that one thing where you could have an entire room of people from all different idioms and ideologies, but they love that one sound. And it's
and I honestly feel like you're always playing music with and to, back and forth to each other, but the audience plays its own concert back to you, and the audience is really one person. It's just, there could be 1,000 of them or 2,000 or 3,000 of them standing there, but you're never singing or playing or talking or anything to more than one person, because there's no such thing as a multitude. We're all individuals anyway. So that's the other thing that might pass through my head every now and again, because there's always gremlins in there, trying to get in between me and the moment.
Yeah.
It's always trying to get in there and muscle its way back in. Like, wait a minute now, God damn it, I've spent years cultivating this narrative of negativity that I can hold you in and make you do what I want you to do. And by God, I want you to notice. I want you to forget about, you're at a festival, I want you to forget about the 10,000 people you're playing to, and I want you to focus on the 2 that are walking away right now.
Yeah.
And think about, what am I doing wrong? And think about anything other than be lost in this moment.
Yeah.
And be lost in, so that's
how has
part of the...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, how has the meaning of the word love changed or remained the same as you've pushed further along the road of life?
It's funny. It's kind of like this. It became the same. It became synonymous, sort of, with soul to me. And you have a moment of clarity. And when I'm talking about a moment of clarity, I'm just talking about a moment where the small you, the little you, that's the one that's got the big mouth that runs its mouth inside your head all the time. It shuts up for a minute, and then when that happens, like what we were talking about, you just get this break in the action for a second.
Yeah. And
then this thing comes in that a kind of a joy, a love that has no opposite. Like they say, love, hate. Well, the real love has no opposite. Because for me, I just woke up one day to this, and I realized that all my ideas about those kind of things were all based on the fear of death. And then when you pull that out of the equation, everything changes drastically. For me, it just changed drastically. It's like the minute, I'm not saying I'm not afraid to die. I'm not saying I'm a tough guy or nothing like that. What I'm saying is when that moved out of the way and you feel a little bit of the infiniteness of this vast universe around you all at once, I felt like there was this joy that I can't describe, that wasn't because I got what I wanted for a little bit of time, or wasn't because everything worked out briefly, or wasn't because of something temporal. It was a joy that had no opposite. Yeah. There was no okay, now I go back into this. And it was the same thing with love, and it just feels like I've realized how many times I've lashed out in anger and this and negativity and blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. I've lashed out because I could convince myself, oh, well, it's an instinctive reaction because of, when we were more animalistic years ago. And it's like bullshit. It's just because I'm terrified of love. And I think, I don't know why. It's like, why? How?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if I'm supposed to know why. So
I totally, I'm on that boat. I've been going through a really bad breakup and lately, and it's one of those things where you start to peel back and realize that, like, you either feel that you don't deserve the love, or that if you were to open yourself vulnerable to that love, that they had the power to destroy you, instead of in loving the fact that someone can reach that part of you. You're afraid to open that up,
Yeah.
And that's the thing I've been trying to focus on, like the joy of infinite time in the universe, because you can get sucked in so much about the sadness of how minute everything is in essence. But,
yeah. Well, in the infinite, there's no size, and there's no way to determine a scale of importance or anything. It's crazy because our minds are working a way to map out things and to try to make sense of what ultimately some deeper part of us knows there's no sense to be made of it. It's not about sense. It's about you paying attention and taking responsibility for the entire universe, yourself as a human being, instead of trying to take responsibility for little bits of it when shit goes right, instead of when things go wrong. And when I mean take responsibility, I don't mean candy-assed judgment, being judgmental against yourself or against other people. I mean take responsibility to realize, look, if it's in this universe, it's in my consciousness, and my consciousness is creating this universe, so to speak, or at least the universe that I'm experiencing. And if I want it to change, I have to change it. Nobody else can change it. I can't go out there and protest. I can't go out there and scream and raise hell. I can't bomb people. I can't do any of these things that humanity and every one of us have felt like doing at some point in our life. I can't do all those things and change it. The rules are, you can't change problems on the same level that the problem exists. You have to change it at a deeper level.
Yeah.
And at a deeper level, there ain't but one place to go for that, and that's in, not out. And so it's just, that's why it's sometimes the battle outside is, the art of war is every battle's already won or fought before it's ever, or won or lost before it's fought.
Yeah.
It couldn't be more true, because most of them are lost no matter what, no matter who wins. They're already lost because you didn't realize why you were fighting this battle in the first place, and to make a decision about it rather than just knee jerk. And don't get me wrong, I'm as guilty as anybody, man. I still, the whole point of being slapped and turning the other cheek isn't to be a chicken shit about it, or be a candy ass about it, or to just take anything from anybody. That's not what it means to me. It means take it and then make a decision.
Yeah.
Should you defend yourself, or Or next time, should you do this? Should you walk away? What should you do? Instead of, no, you took something from me and I'm going to get it back right now, because that never feels good.
Yeah.
And the guilt from that reaction has killed more people, in my opinion, on this planet than everything else combined.
Agreed.
It led to the craziest behaviors. Yeah. And nobody's immune from it. No matter how good you think your cause is, no matter how wonderful you think what you're fighting for is, no matter how much the oppressed deserves to not be oppressed. Sometimes the oppressed, you're fighting somebody else's battles and they're not as oppressed as you thought. The one that was oppressed was you were oppressing yourself.
Yeah. And
your reaction leaves ramifications throughout all of society that you don't feel immediately, but you experience it because you're planting seeds in the garden of your own life, and later on it comes back to haunt you. You know what I'm saying? Because you here again, the Bible, I think the Bible is the one that says you reap what you sow. So, because I'm not great on religion either, but there's a lot of wisdom in some of those things, and I'm just trying to make my way the best way I can, and music seems to be a place where time can sort of stand still and disappear, and it seems like an easier gateway.
Yeah.
And I just try to let the shows sort of seep and steep their way through the rest of my life, so that I'm able to experience all that, instead of just being 2 hours.
When you talk about time.